Starting, all attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hi and good afternoon. Today we will be discussing the Jimber SASE product. We will going over the main features of our product, after which I will give you a demo. And in the demo, I will show you some of the features and how easy it is to fully configure our SASE product. To start with, I will go over our presentation and give you some information about why we have built a product, how we have built a product, and why it's very important to use in your company. So let's start, and I will share my screen so you can all follow the presentation. So what we have built in the last years is an all-in-one SASE product. Our product will deliver full security for you and your company, including partners. We have a full system where we have 3 tiers: distributors, partners, and end customers. So you will be able to also manage the networks of your and the networks and the security of your customers as well. We all know that protecting your network from hackers has never been this challenging. So it's very important that you use the right tools and the right mindset to fully protect the security, the cybersecurity of your and your customers' networks. And this is where Jimber SASE comes in. It's very difficult to keep networks secure because cyber threats are constantly evolving. We also see that AI has been playing a big role in this in the last couple of years, months, where hackers are getting better in acting as if they are a very authentic resource. Also, remote access is something that is becoming more essential, especially since COVID. Remote access has been something that is used in a very broad way by a lot of companies, but it's very complex to set it up in a very secure way. Network devices like printers are also underestimated as an easy entry point for hackers. And we've seen a lot that network devices like printers or other OT devices, maybe other special devices that are used in automotive industry or other industries, can be easy entry points for hackers and are often underestimated. Security measures also frustrate employees and can reduce productivity. And at Jimber, we really work hard to make sure that the security measures that we take and the security software that we offer gives you added on value instead of frustration. In 90 to 99% of the cases where Jimber SASE is used, we will replace the traditional VPNs. Traditional VPNs have a lot of issues. They're mainly made for technical people. They can have network issues. It's very hard to limit the access control of the users, especially if you want to do it on the user's identity. Might take a lot of effort and will probably not be easy in a technical way. You also have risks of misconfigurations, and you might need expensive firewalls, especially if you are using site-to-site connections. In some cases, and more, we will also replace the firewall. Firewalls are hard to set up. You need one on every location. They can be time consuming, and most of the firewalls that are on the market these days, they're still not UI friendly. The UX is still very technical. It's still very hard to use, something where we at Jimber want to make a difference. This slide is a bit about the hacking cases that have been in the news. I think we all know that hacking is not something that is where you have a low chance of getting hacked. It's not a question of if you will if your network will suffer from an attack, but when. Now, with Jimber, we are offering an all-in-one security solution, which is expanding more and more. It's been on the market for 2 years, and we are adding features non-stop to make the security for, especially for small and medium enterprises, as good as possible. We really focus on quick and simple. Why? Because we know that the easier it is to use, the less it gets neglected. If security software is hard to set up, uh, the tendency to neglect the installation or the configuration of the security tools becomes too high, and you end up with the typical any network, any configuration where everyone can access everything. We want something that is very easy to manage, and we want to microsegment the network, so every user has its own microsegment to the services. You no longer connect to the whole network of your company, but you connect to the services that you need as a user. This way, we can really reduce the attack surface, and chances of security breaches are much lower. We focus on secure and local and remote access. So whether you work in the office itself or you work in a remote network, we are sure that the resources that you can access are based on your identity and not on the place where you reside. We can minimize the risk of unauthorized access and data breaches, and we can cut the costs of replacing VPN and firewall. But I am convinced that the biggest cutting cost is the fact that it's much easier to set up than most existing solutions. This slide is about the SASE components that are in our standard package, which is software-defined wide area network. So more and more, we are replacing things like MPLS and other leased line site-to-site VPN solutions with a very easy way to configure software-defined networks using our SASE platform. The component that we have started with, and that is most important for network security, is our ZTNA network isolation part, where we can limit remote network access and to authenticated users and authorized resources. We have full end-to-end encryption, so every user that accesses any resource will always have end-to-end encryption from start to finish. And we also have microsegmentation for each user that is connected. Furthermore, we have our secure web gateway, which is expanded more and more, and which will have much added features in 2025, where we have full end-to-end encryption to the cloud with microsegmentation by default and granular access control. We also have some add-ons, SASE components that are more of an extension to address niche security features. Our web application firewall, our remote browser isolation, and our web application isolation. They can mostly protect web applications or users that are browsing the internet in some cases. I will not be talking about these components today, but if you are interested in any of them, please let us know, and we can always present them to you. Now, to understand why our SASE platform will make your life better and hackers worse, you have to understand how a hacker works. The idea with a lot of technical people is still that an attack from a hacker will happen from the outside to the inside using the public firewall, but this is often not the case. What happens is that hacker groups, they send out a lot of emails, hundreds and hundreds of emails, and someone in your company has clicked one of the emails, remote execution becomes possible, and at that point, it becomes very possible for the hacker to do horizontal escalation, so get more and more grip on the resources within your company. And the more grip he gets, the stronger he gets, the more chances he will become ultimately domain administrator, global administrator, get grip of all your data, and he will, this can take months, by the way, and he will at a certain point decide that he has enough information, that he has enough control, lock everything up, encrypt all of your data, and send you an email that he wants some bitcoins on his account. Now, when Jimber SASE is used, the hacker will connect to a highly isolated environment. It will be very hard to do man-in-the-middle attacks. It will be very hard to catch any packets on the network, and he might search for an easier target, and being safer than your neighbor is always the best idea here. Our solution is built for a lot of companies, mainly small and medium enterprise, where we focus on remote work security. So we are very strong in companies that have a lot of remote workers. Multiple location security, also very interesting since our platform is very easy to set up with multiple locations. We have real zero trust security where we start from zero. Every user that wants to use our product or use a resource within the network through our product has to have the right permissions to access any resource. If the permissions are not assigned, he will not be able to do anything. While a lot of vendors still sell firewalls that will allow all of the access by default, we always start from zero, and it's not even possible to set any rules. Something that also more of kind of happened to us is industrial OT security. So more and more OT companies are reaching out to us because they are interested in having security between their OT network and their IT network, where they want to have monitoring, remote access, things like that in a very secure way. And this is all possible using our platform. If we compare ourselves to legacy solutions, we are a flexible all-in-one solution. So we have a lot of features on board by default. The default is zero, already talked about it. All of the traffic within your network will be encrypted with very large keys that are impossible to brute force or hack. We have the always and only authenticator principle. So you have to be authenticated with your user credentials if you want to have access to any of the resources. And what is very cool about Jimber is that if you install it within your network, you have the chances to expand your security using Jimber in a granular way. So you can do it while people are working. You can expand. You can start with 3-4 users here, a group of users there, onboard a specific service, make sure that everything happens through our SASE platform, and just keep expanding until your whole network is secure. It's not something that you have to do over the weekend and hope that everything works on Monday. This is a bit about the features that we have. So we have Active Directory integration, single sign-on, means that users can sign up with their user credentials from the company. We have cloud native security. All traffic is always encrypted. We can also synchronize with Active Directory and Azure Intra ID, so that's also a perfect possible solution. We have our NIACs, which are small devices that can be connected to printers or other peripherals on premise. And that way you can onboard them in a similar way as if you would install the software on any of the supported platforms. We also have DNS filtering, and we already have some DPI in the platform, and it will be expanded in a very large way in 2025. Let me skip this slide and go directly to my favorite one, where I can explain you how a typical network setup is done with our SASE platform. So for every company that is onboarded within our SASE platform, we always provide a network controller in the cloud. The network controller in the cloud is fully operated by Jimber, so you don't have to manage it. It's all included in our service. The cloud network controller also has its own IPv4 address. So if you are onboarding a company within Jimber, a new IPv4 address will be reserved, especially for your company. It can be used for whitelisting purposes, or it can be used as an endpoint to route certain traffic to internal services using port forwarding. Beside of the network controller in the cloud, the company also has the possibility to add more network controllers on premise, but more about that later. Let's start with a typical setup where a remote user is onboarded. He logs into the Jimber client and he connects to the network. He will directly connect to the cloud controller. Also, if you add a server to the same network by installing the Jimber client on the server as well, a specific server version, of course, it will also connect to the cloud network controller. Oh, sorry, one too far. And you can set up rules between the two of them. Once the rules are established, the user can access certain services on the server, on the remote server, in a very easy way. And he can also use a security platform where he can see all of the applications that he has permissions for, to access all of the services that are needed within the company. Once there's a need for extra remote or extra on-premise network controllers, these can also be added. If a network controller is added on-premise, it will make a connection to the cloud network controller automatically. Installing a network controller on-premise is possible in two ways. You can do it by starting up a virtual instance and installing our software on it, or you can order a hardware version from Jimber itself. We will deliver it to the site where it's needed. You can install it. It's a 1U. You can install it in a server rack, and it will operate as a network controller within the premise. What happens is, once a network controller is onboarded, if a user logs in into the same network as a network controller, he will connect to that network controller. He can access resources through the shortest path. If the same user closes down his laptop, he goes home, he opens it again, he will be able to connect through the cloud controller. All routing happens automatically to the on-premise, to the resource that he has permission to access to. So this way we create a whole overlay network within your existing setup in a very secure way, everything encrypted, and it's also very easy to use. These are our supported platforms. So right now we support Windows, Windows Server, Apple, Linux Server, a network controller, which is an ISO file to install on virtual machines. And we have a Synology package for Synology NAS systems. We also have a Teltonika application for network controllers on Teltonika devices. And we have support for Raspberry Pi clients. Let me skip these and get directly to the demo. As you can see here, I'm already running the Jimber client in my tray. Give me one moment and I will share my full screen instead of just sharing the application. So you can really see my Jimber client as well. So normally you can see my full screen right now. So here you can see that I'm logged in using the Jimber client. Login is very simple through your browser. So if you're not logged in, you can log in the tray through your browser and using your Microsoft or Google account. I will show it to you in one moment. And you will directly connect to the network and get an IP address within the overlay network. There's also an option to automatically start up the client, and once the user has logged in for the first time, he doesn't have to re-log in unless you configure some more strict security settings for that. Now, let's start with the dashboard. So this is the dashboard as an administrator. This is not what a user uses, but here an administrator can configure the whole network. You can already see that there's device needing approval. So device approval is an option within our software. You can enable device approval, which means that if a user wants to connect a new device, like for instance his PC at home, he has to get approval before he can really use any of the services on the network. You as an administrator will of course get an email if a user is waiting for approval. I will not approve it right now since this environment is mostly used for demos, and it's nice that we have a device waiting for approval to show this. You can see the top graphs where you see all user devices, all servers, all NIACs, and all network controllers. If you click the links, you can go to the devices itself, but I will get to that later in the demo. So this is the dashboard, but let's start with the company itself. So if you are an IT partner, and this might be very interesting for you, you can see all the customers that you have in one big overview. You can click on the customer itself, and then you go to the same view from the customer standpoint. So you can configure the whole overlay network, all of the security for that company. You can even onboard yourself within the company, so get an IP address within that overlay network instead of the overlay network of your own partner company. And like that, you can in an easy way, you can manage all of your customers all from the same platform. Now, let's go back to the demo company amenity, where you can see the customers, and in the next screen, you can see the users. Here you can create new users. So if you click create new, you can just onboard a new user. Let's take the name webinar demo. You can make him admin, so he can also access the admin view. You can make him security consultant, which means he can, if you give the right permissions, he can access the clients that you have, the customers that you have. And you can enable network isolation, which means that he will get an IP address within the overlay network. Now, you can also assign groups to it. Let's give him the group general, since it's a general group. It's a group that is made for everyone to be joined, and you can create the user. This is very easy if you have a few users. Of course, if you have hundreds of them, you might use automatic synchronization with Active Directory or Intra ID, which I will also show to you later in the demo. Here you have an overview of the groups. Groups can contain users, servers, and NIACs. If a user is member of a group, he will get extra permissions on resources, extra filters on web resources, and so on. Let's skip the domains, not really important right now, but let's go straight to integrations. Our platform has been created in API first way, so you can create personal access tokens, and then we have a very easy overview of all of the APIs that we provide. So even if you are not using Intra ID and still want to automate the creation of users, or you want to automate the creation of things like servers or native devices, that's all possible using our extended API. You also can set a DNS forwarder, which is mainly used for AD integration. Right now, I will just put it on 8888 for this demo. You can also set synchronization here. So once you enable synchronization and you set it up in the right way in Intra ID or in Active Directory, you will be able to synchronize your users in a very easy way. It will also auto-synchronize every X minutes. There's a big advantage of using that if a new user joins your company and you create his account for the company itself, he will directly get the appropriate permissions in its network permissions belonging to the group. If you disable the user, if you delete the user, if he leaves, he will immediately lose all of the network connections to all of the services that he can use. So it's something that is very easy. It's used by most of the companies that are onboarded in our solution. Then notifications. So here, Chrome wants to help me. Here you can get some notifications from our platform. We are not really a monitoring solution, but you might be helped with notification if a server goes down, if a NIAC doesn't work anymore, if there's a problem with synchronization with your Intra ID because you change some password somewhere that you didn't know it was used by SASE. So this way you can get notifications for that. Also, device approval, you don't want a user to be waiting for its device approval, so you can enable notifications. You can do them on a company basis, or you can do it per user. So these are the notifications that you will get for yourself, and these are the notifications that will be sent to a company email address, which might be ticketing or supporting email address, and you can also add multiple email addresses. Configuration is mostly just some basic configuration you can do. Something that might be interesting is the user device expiry time. So here you can set the maximum number of days that a user device can be logged in. So if it's not used for X days, it will be automatically disconnected from the SASE platform. You can enable a device limit. So for instance, if someone of your company wants to start using your service and his company laptop is already on board, he cannot onboard a second or a third device without asking you to get more devices onboarded. Then you have an overview of the devices itself. So here you can see that I'm currently logged in. Here you see the green dot in my tray, but you also see the green dot in the environment itself. You see the IP address that I got, you see that my status is approved, so everything is okay. You also see the device that is not yet approved, and you can approve it here as well, which might be handy. You have the servers, so you can see that there's 3 servers online right now, purely for demo purposes. We also have secure mode. Secure mode is something that you can enable for users, or you can enable it for servers or NIACs. If you enable secure mode, then the user will block, or the server will block all incoming connections that are not going through our overlay network. So if all of your devices are in secure mode, you can be very sure that all of your traffic is encrypted within the network and everything is set up in a very secure way. So the more secure mode you have, the more interesting, or the more safe your environment becomes. There's an IAC here, so you can see the office printer of the demo location is online right now. It's not in secure mode. We can put it in secure mode. That's not really a problem. If you click the office printer, you can see the devices that are hooked up to the NIAC itself. There's no devices hooked up right now. If you hook up a device, then the MAC address will show up in the interface, and it will be bound to that IP address. So even if you reset the NIAC, or if you lose power at a certain point, it will always get the same IP address again, because it's bound to the MAC address. If you want to release it, you can release it here in the UI. You have the network controllers. This is a very basic setup with just one cloud network controller, but multiple on-premise network controllers might be added here as well. I didn't mention yet, but if you have questions, don't be afraid to put them in the chat. I will check it regularly. So if anyone has some questions, please let me know. There's also native devices, which is a bit of a complicated feature to understand, but it's very handy. It means that every device that is reachable by any of our network controllers can be added in here, and then route to the device can be made on an IP level, so that users that are working from home, for instance, can access a device that is connected to a network controller even when they are not on the same network. It's often used instead of NIACs. It has the disadvantage that the last part of the path is unencrypted, but it can be very handy in certain cases, especially if you have techniques like VLANing to keep those native devices away from the user networks. And now we come to the most interesting part, which is security, and I will do a few demos to show you how easy it is to set up a certain configuration. Let's first have a look at my user. So this is my demo user, which I'm logged in with, and you can see that currently he's in the group general. If we go back to security, you can see in certain screens like group traffic and attribute service and allow custom ports that no rules are defined. So I will not be able to get any resources from the overlay network at this point. Now let's start a CMD so I can show you guys what the effect is of certain settings. I will run that as administrator so I don't get any errors if I want to try some stuff. Now let's start with DNS. So our platform is a DNS provider. We are a DNS service. So if you are connected to our overlay network and DNS override is enabled, then DNS will always be checked in our platform first, and then it will be checked maybe in your Active Directory, which might also have a forwarder to the internet. In this case, we don't have DNS forwarding enabled yet. You can see that in group configuration. So here you can see, oh, we do have it enabled. I will disable it then. Give me 1 second. Okay, so here DNS override disabled. So now DNS override is disabled, and we can try it out, and it shouldn't work. So we have the group name general. I have my console open right here, and we'll have a look at the resources that we have. So for instance, we have a web server which is called webserver1.amenity.be. Let's do an NS lookup, which tries to find the IP address of a certain DNS alias. And you can see right now that I cannot find the address itself. Now let's enable DNS security or DNS override. Okay, so now it should be enabled. And now immediately you see that the response is fully different. So you can see that I got the address of 198.18.0.12. And if we go back to the server itself, you can see that this is indeed the address of our web server. Now, you can also add aliases, so you can give him even more names that you can use. So now alias.amenity.be will also be reachable. Oh, which name did I give it? Alias, I think. Yeah. You can see that I got the same address. So this might be useful if you have a web server that has certain services running on it. You can just be sure that all of the traffic is routed through the SASE overlay network in a very easy way by just enabling DNS override. Now, if I want to ping to any of those resources over the overlay network, it shouldn't work because everything is blocked by default, also ICMP. So we don't allow anything. You really have to allow all of the traffic that you need within your company network. A question that we often get is, if you have to define all of the connections, then it might take a long time to really enable the whole company to work in the way that they are used to. It might take some time. It might take a few hours, a few days to set everything up. And if you have some older applications, some legacy stuff, it might even take longer. But at least you have an idea of what is running on your network. It's very descriptive, and you really get your security to a whole other level. So for most of the cases, it's worth it, and it takes less time than recovering from a hack. So let's have a look and give my client the permissions to do a ping service to that specific server. Now you can see that I have a service ICMP right here. You can define new services as well. You can load templates which are already ready to use, created by Jimber itself. But right now we have ICMP right here, which is also which is a service that has already been created. So let's try out ICMP. Now I use the general group, I use ICMP service, and I choose the destination, which is the web server I was playing with earlier. And now ICMP should be enabled for the general group, and you can immediately see that pinging the web server starts to work. We can do the same thing with web. Now I will open an incognito window, since we all know that web loves cache, or Chrome loves cache, to make everything fast and smooth. But now I just want to have the newest situation. So if I try to browse to that certain web address, it's not possible. It's just blocked by our system. More interesting, you can even see if you go to the monitoring and you look in the packet inspection, you can see that the packet got dropped. So a few seconds ago, you can see a dropped packet, and you can see that it went to 443, which was not really what I wanted. I wanted it to go through 80, but it apparently immediately went for 443. Now, doesn't really matter. Let's add some security rules for the general group. I want HTTP and HTTPS to be allowed on the same web server. Enable it. Okay, start a new incognito. I hope I close the old one. But if I remove HTTPS right here, then we should be able to browse to it. Yeah, okay. Chrome doesn't really like that it's a non-HTTPS website, but we're okay with that for a demo. So now you can see that I can access the web server itself. I get the hello world page from Jimber, and the access works. So this way you can set up everything. You can do the same with Active Directory. We have a whole guide on how you set up Active Directory, and how you set up, for instance, things like Proxmox or VMware. We have documentation about all of those. We can always help you if you have certain needs with more niche services, more legacy stuff. But the biggest advantage of this is that you get everything in microsegments. You might even have, right now, you might have SQL running over your network in an unencrypted way. This way you can, without changing anything in the software itself, you can just encrypt it over the network and have a very secure working environment. Now let's get a little further with security. We also have web filtering. So if we choose the general group again, you can see right now that social media is blocked. So every of my requests to social media should fail. Maybe I will just disable it first, and I will try to go to Facebook. Okay, so you can see that Facebook works. Now, I will enable the social media block. Generally, if you are using web filtering, it might take a few minutes, maybe maximum of 10 minutes before it really applies in your operating system, because the operating system is caching the DNS. So I will just take another social media website to demo it to you and go to Twitter, and you will see that Twitter is not accessible at this point. If we disable it, then in a few minutes it should be possible again to use Twitter. It might work directly a bit depending on the settings that you have in your system. Might take a few minutes, but you can see right now that it's not working yet. Another way to show you is that if we do an NS lookup to twitter.com, you can see that we get the real address of Twitter. If I block it again, so it starts with 104. We look it up again. This is an IP of one of our servers that will not respond in any way, so it's blocked. So this is a very easy way. We have the malware and adware list, which is a very extensive list of malware and adware that we always try to stimulate to enable it, since enabling that might give you a lot more security within your company. But you can also choose to enable gambling, fake news, adult content. You can also block in certain time slots, so that's also a possibility. Still no chat messages, so if you have any questions, please let me know. You can also do port forwarding, so you can enable port forwarding rules. If you enable port forwarding rules to certain internal applications, then you can expose internal applications to the outside world through one of the network controllers. Might be an on-premise or might be our cloud network controller. So it's an easy way to be sure that people can access resources from within your network through the public internet. We also have scripts. I will not save this. Scripts can be used for a lot of things. If you have imagination enough, then you can create a script for it. But what is it most used for is for mounting file drives. The moment that a user connects to the overlay network, we can execute a script. So it's a connect occurrence. And then you are sure that the file drive is mounted in the right time, and when Windows doesn't have any problems in trying to mount the full file drive when the connection is not ready yet. This way you can use your typical drive that you have within your company to share things amongst each other, mounted in a secure way, in an encrypted way, and still accessible very easily. We have monitoring with packet inspection, so you can see all of your packets that were dropped. It will be expanded with more monitoring tools very shortly. And we also have the activity log, where you can see everything that has happened within the configuration of the company. So you have a full backlog of all the security adjustments that have been made. Yeah, I already showed you the platform and the demo, so don't have to show you that, but might be interesting to just go through the documentation, or at least show you how it looks. So here you have the documentation. You have some basic topics on how you create users, groups, domains, how you do integrations internally, how you install your own network controllers, use of native devices, and so on. And also some more advanced topics like installing Active Directory, which is very extensive documentation. Looks a bit difficult at first sight, but once you do it, it's all about 5 minutes or 10 minutes work. So it's very doable. But we have also more extensive things like integration with Microsoft Entra ID, hypervisors installations. So installing a network controller on one of your hypervisors, and so on. If you are stuck with any of the configuration, you can also try to or contact us through our 24/7 support by email or by phone. So I think I have most of the features and most of the demo stuff that I wanted to show you. This has been a short overview of our platform. If you are interested in trying it out yourself, or if you have some use cases that you want to talk us about, please let us know. We can always do a call with one of our engineers or with me, and then we can see how Jimber can help you. Now, one other thing I want to share with you is the pricing, which is also important, of course. Give me one moment to open my pricing page. Give me 1 second, please. I was sharing the wrong slides right here, so I will have it in a few seconds. Okay. So our pricing model is a SaaS model where we have a price per user, and we also have a price for some other things like network controllers. Here's my pricing slides, core components. Okay, here we go. Sorry for the small delay. I will share my screen again. So here it is. Okay. So our pricing has user subscriptions. You pay a price of €12 per month. This is the end user pricing. So there's still a discount for partners. There's a price per month of €12. You pay €6 for a server, but for every user that you have in the subscription, you get one server for free or is included in the subscription itself. This means that for most companies, you don't have to pay for servers, but if you go over a certain limit, if you are a company that has really a lot of servers, then you might have to pay an extra price. The pricing for the web application firewall, we'll skip it for now, didn't really talk about it, but at least you have an idea. Then for hardware, you pay the same price for a NIAC as you would for a user. The hardware is included in the price. Then for network controllers, you pay €12 for a normal network controller, but if you want to have a hardware device, so one U unit, you can get 3 different versions of them, which are more expensive the more features or the more speed they have. And then we also have an industrial version, which is a DIN unit that you can attach to DIN rails, and is a rugged version. And there the price is €60 per month. One other thing to share with you, let me see the correct slide, is that if you are a Belgian company, then you might be able to use our grant system, in which we can offer 100% subsidized licenses for you or your customer for 1 year. So for 1 year, you can use our product free of charge. You will be charged for a full year, but then you will be able to send charge back, or your customer will be able to send a chargeback invoice at the end of the year. This is fully funded by FOD Economics in Belgium and the European Union. So hereby we can conclude this short presentation of our product. If you have any questions, you still have some time to ask me in the chat. I will stay available for another 5 minutes. If you want to have a more extensive demo, or you want to try out the product, or you have certain use cases that you want to talk about, please let us know. You can always mail us at info@jimber.io. Thanks for your attention, and see you later for more information about the new things that we are also building within our platform. Thank you so much for this session. If you have any questions, I will answer them. Just let me know in the chat. Okay, so just saw that there was another questions tab. Is this also a solution for a global company? Yes, this is a solution for a global company. We don't have, you can use it globally. We can deliver network controllers anywhere in the world. We don't have support for multiple cloud network controllers yet. So if you have, for instance, two branch offices, one in Europe, one in Asia, and you want to have multiple cloud network controllers, that's not something we support yet, but it will be supported, I think, somewhere in the end of mid Q2 of 2025. Sorry, I missed your question earlier. So another question, Maxime, how many cloud network controllers do we have and where are they located? Currently, the cloud network controller, well, first of all, a cloud network controller is bound to a company. So for every company, we deploy a separate cloud network controller. It's not that we work with pod points or central hubs. They are really specific for one company. We don't mix traffic of various companies. They can be located anywhere. So we have about, I think, 25 locations all over the world where we can deploy them. So if a company onboards, he can get a cloud controller in any location that he would like, or at least very close to the location that they need. So if you have certain use cases where you want to know how close you can go with our network control, just let us know, and we can see how close we can get to that specific customer. But in most cases, this really is not a problem. Okay, seems like we are out of questions. Thanks so much. If you want more information, don't hesitate to contact us. Bye.